Okay, guys. So let's start the session. So anybody has any doubt on previous sessions which we have covered? Any doubt,
I'm good.
guys? Okay. So who has done the homework? Who has practiced the thing, like created data lake, created subscription, tried to share the subscription, all of that? Just type yes in the chat if you have done it. All right. I wanted to know what's the difference between a data lake Gen 2 and a blob storage? Who can answer this question?
I can answer.
Yeah, go ahead.
So block storage is something having less features comparing to Data Lake Gen 2.
Uh-huh.
So in Data Lake Gen 2, we have a option for creation of folders, while
Uh-huh.
in storage, it's the virtual folders are there. And the
Mhm.
second point is regarding the ACL part. So we can assign permission to uh, folders in Data Lake Gen 2.
Mhm.
Uh, Whereas in storage, we cannot assign any permission. These are the virtual folders.
Mhm. Okay, who else wants to describe this? Anybody else?
Yeah, so data lake has like more hierarchical structure as well
Mm-hmm.
as the cost optimization wise, it is better. And Blob is mainly used for static data, which does
Mm-hmm.
not change frequently.
Mm-hmm.
And data lake can be used for incremental or changing data.
I never told that. From where you learned this?
We discussed it last time, right? For
No,
mainly static
I
requirements, we
I
use blob storage.
incremental data I never said in the whole class. I never use incremental word. From where you
And
have learned this?
storage is cost effective comparing to Gen 2, but
Mm-hmm.
not the Gen 2.
Mm-hmm.
By
Yeah.
increment, I mean changing data or adding size and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, who else can answer this question? Anybody else wants to give it a go, guys? Right. Okay. 1 second. Let me add few others. All right. Okay. Now I think we have more people. So I was just asking to everyone because we have learned in the last class what's the difference between a blob storage and a data lake Gen 2. Who else can answer this question beside Devendra and Kunal, who has learned it and wants to answer this question? Okay. All right, guys. If not, then let me answer. So first of all, uh, I told you guys that we will not use folder and subfolder that I have told you during the class, right? So what we call as a folder in Azure terms, what we call a folder in Azure terms? Directory. Container and directories, right?
Right, right. Okay.
Yeah. So we learned that we will not call folder subfolder. And you guys are saying again folders and subfolders, right? So we call containers and directories. Okay. So what's the difference between a data lake storage and a blob storage? Okay. And also, during the class, I never told that data lake storage is being used for incremental load. Blob storage also can be used for incremental load. Okay. So once you say this particular sentence, right, your interview is gone because it's a very basic question, right? And if you're not able to answer very basic question, then interviewer will prior aware that you don't know anything, and then he will not select you, right? So the question which we prior know, we should prepare it for very well, right? So yesterday as well in the class, I told many things that networking is not required, security is not required. I also told that ACL is not in giving a particular role in a storage account and all of that is not required. I told this is very important, and again I'm highlighting this is very important. Okay, and this is the PDF which you need to learn. Okay. Now, what is the difference between a data lake storage and a blob storage? In data lake storage, you can make a directory inside a container, okay, which you cannot do in the blob storage. So this sentence should be like this, not folder, subfolder. This will not say, right? We can make a directory inside a container, which you cannot do in the blob storage. Then second difference is you can give ACL. What does it mean? You can give directory level of access. You will not say container level of access, because container level of access you can give in blob storage and also in data lake gen 2. Okay. So directory level of access cannot be given in where? Data lake storage or a blob storage. In a the data lake storage, you can give directory level of storage, which you cannot do in the blob storage. Now, data lake Gen 2 is recommended for big data analytics workload. So when you have a big amount of data, data lake Gen 2 is recommended for that. It doesn't mean that incremental load will be done in data lake Gen 2 only. It doesn't mean that, right? So when you have big amount of data, incremental load can be done for a small set of data, right? So it's completely fine. Now, data lake storage is more expensive than blob storage. So these are the main difference between, and also data lake storage is optimized for large scale processing, supports high throughput. So these are the 5 difference which we have written over here, and please try to like tell the difference like this so that it's a because this interview question is very important. And then after this, we like people also add what's the difference between a blob storage, data lake storage, delta lake storage. So this is how they further ask the question. This question is very important. Okay. So in the previous classes, we learned about what is cloud computing, and then we learned about what is IaaS, SaaS, and PaaS, what is public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud, right? All of that we have learned. And then we basically learned about how to get a subscription, how to share a subscription, right? That also we have learned. Then we learned about what is subscription, what is resource group of resources. Then we learned about storage account has 4 types. What are those 4 types? Can anybody answer that question? What are the 4 types of a storage account?
Table storage, file storage, and also
You
Blob storage, queue
Yeah,
storage.
either you choose to create data lake storage or blobs or a blob service, file service, queue service, and table service. Okay, so these are the 4 types of storage, right? All right, I'm muting you, Kritana, and also Kunal. Please, if you guys have any question, you can unmute yourself. All right. So storage account has 4 types, right? That we have learned. Then we made data factory. We understood what is data factory. Why do we use data factory? That we have understood. Okay, all of that we have learned. So in past 2 classes, what is the most important thing which we have learned? This question. Okay. So please remember this. Again, I will ask in couple of classes, right? So this is very important. So we need to remember this. Okay. All right. Now, whatever we are learning today, it's again very important. Okay. So I will highlight whenever I will highlight. It's very important. So please pay attention and please make notes about it. And also please try to revise it, because once you revise it, once you practice it, it will give you more confidence. Please try to revise it as well. Okay. So today what we are learning is being asked probably in like 90% of the interview which I have given, and it's like probably the first question which somebody asks in the interview. Whenever you are giving a data factory interview, this is the first question they will ask. How do you connect data factory with a source system, right? This is the question they will ask. So let me again go to the architecture diagram which we are studying, right? This is the architecture diagram which we are studying. All right. So I have given you guys to install a MS SQL Server or a MySQL Server in your computer. Who has done it? Who has installed MySQL Server or MS SQL Server in their computer?
Yeah, I done it.
Okay, so you probably have a source already, right? So a MySQL Server or a MS SQL Server, you have your own computer, okay? Now we need to use Data Factory to connect to MS SQL Server or a MySQL Server or your own computer. So suppose like somebody given you a task that you need to move the data from your own MS SQL, MySQL Server or your own computer to data lake storage, right? Or a blob storage using Data Factory. If you want to do it, how to do it, okay? So suppose we also in the previous classes, I told that either you can manually go and upload the file daily, but it's not a feasible option to go and upload the file daily, right? So for that, you need a particular tool which can ideally help you to do that. Suppose in my computer, if I have some source, some files, 10 to 12 files, and if I want to move those files in data lake storage using Data Factory, right? How to do it? So for that, I should have a connection to source and I should have a connection to the destination, which is sync. Okay. Then only Data Factory can move the data from point A to point B, right? So let me again make a diagram. Now suppose you have a source and you have a destination. In Azure term, we call destination as sync. Destination as sync. Okay. Now you want to move the data from source to destination. Sorry, I will use this. Okay. Now you want to move the data from source to destination, right? And what tool you're using? You're using Data Factory as a tool, right? Azure Data Factory as a tool. You're using Data Factory as a tool. So Data Factory should have a connection to the source and should have a connection to the destination. Then only Data Factory can move the data from source A to source B. It's very clear, right? So suppose if you want to go from point A to point B through a vehicle, or if you're booking a Uber cab, for example, right? So you will enter point A, that yeah, point A is my address, and I want to go to point B. So suppose if you want to go from Balandur to Whitefield, you will enter Balandur and then you'll enter Whitefield. Then only cab can take you from point A to point B. It's very clear, right? So Data Factory should have an address of point A and Data Factory should have an address of point B. Then only Data Factory can move the data from point A to point B, right? Simple. Now Data Factory will hold the data to move the data. So Data Factory will not, like, suppose you shouldn't feel that Data Factory will occupy the data. Data Factory is just trying to move the data, right? So Data Factory is not occupying the data or something like that, right? Data Factory is just helping you to moving the data. That's all. So we are learning today how to do that, how to connect Data Factory with the source and how to connect Data Factory with destination so that Data Factory can move the data from point A to point B, right? So for that, we need to learn about integration, runtime, and link service. What are the two things we need to learn about? Integration, runtime. And second thing is link service. All right. So what are the integration runtime? Let's learn that now. So I will open another slide for this. 1 second. All right. So there are three types of integration runtime. One is Azure default integration runtime. Second is self-hosted integration runtime. Third is SSIS. Okay. What is Azure default integration runtime? We call it as a auto resolve integration runtime as well. So where this integration runtime is present, once you make your data factory, probably you'll see this data factory over here, the auto resolve runtime over here. Yeah, see, over here you can see, right? Auto resolve integration runtime. This is the Azure default integration runtime or auto resolve integration runtime, right? Whatever you want to call it, you can call it. But please remember the name. Okay. Sometimes people also say that, yeah, we have a cloud integration runtime. If we say proper names, auto resolve integration runtime or a default integration runtime, why I'm highlighting this like again and again, guys, because suppose I totally get it. You are doing this course for 2 months, right? And you after doing this course, you will say that you have done the project for 2 years, right? That is what we are targeting. So if you don't say technical words, so suppose if you say that cloud integration runtime, somebody who is taking the interview will know that, yeah, probably like this guy is daily opening data factory and also not remember the auto resolve integration runtime, then he probably lying, right? So that is why I'm highlighting to take technical terms, right? Auto resolve integration runtime or a Azure default integration runtime, we'll call it in the interview, right? We'll not say some integration runtime given by cloud or it's managed by cloud. We will say auto resolve integration runtime or Azure default integration runtime. Azure default integration runtime is like easy to remember. Why? Because Azure by default giving you this integration runtime, right? Because once you make your data factory, this integration runtime will be present in your space. So that is why we are saying it as your default integration runtime. Okay. So as your default integration runtime, this integration runtime will be used to connect with any of the cloud service. Okay. So suppose if you're connecting with S3 bucket or Azure blob storage or a data lake gen 2, if you are connecting with any of the cloud storage, this particular integration runtime will be used. Okay. Now, what is Azure self-hosted integration runtime? This integration runtime will be used if you're connecting with anything which is not cloud. So suppose your computer, not cloud, we will use self-hosted integration runtime. So suppose Kunal installed MS SQL or a MySQL server in his computer. In that case, we will use self-hosted integration runtime. So suppose Rashmi wants me to fetch the data from Rashmi's MySQL or MS SQL, I will use self-hosted integration runtime because Rashmi has installed a MySQL or MS SQL server in her computer, right? So whatever it belongs to a particular network or a particular private domain, then self-hosted integration runtime will be used in that case. This particular integration runtime will not be managed by Azure. Default integration runtime will be managed by Azure. What what I mean by managed by Azure, because the job to keep this integration runtime running will be taken care by Azure itself. SSIS integration runtime, I haven't worked on SSIS integration runtime, but from the definition wise, SSIS integration runtime is generally being used to import SSIS packages. Okay. So suppose if somebody is working on SSIS packages, or like SSIS is an old tool which is being used for the data movement or data like um, just like Azure Data Factory. So for that, SSIS integration runtime is being used to import SSIS packages. Okay. But in most of the time till now, in my 8 years experience, I have worked mostly on Azure default integration runtime or self-hosted integration runtime. Okay. Now, now I will describe Azure default integration runtime. I will describe the self-hosted integration runtime, and then I will stop, and then you can ask questions. Okay. So default integration runtime, as I told, will be used to connect with any of the cloud service, right? And then self-hosted integration runtime will be used to connect with any of the service which is not present in the cloud, which is on-premise. Self-hosted integration runtime will be used. So now suppose Kunal said, Abhishek, I have a MS SQL server installed and I have installed in my destination. So this is Kunal's computer or Kunal's MySQL. Okay. And this is suppose my data factory. Oh, let me do it here because this is source and this is my data factory. Abhishek. Okay. And then this is destination of Abhishek itself, Abhishek's data lake. Okay. So I made my data factory, I made my data lake, right? And then Kunal said that Abhishek, you are taking this class for us and I have very interesting data. Let's use that data, okay? And Kunal said that, yeah, Abhishek, let's connect to my just my particular SQL server, and I have very interesting data, which probably we all can use for learning, right? This is what Kunal said. But I have like huge amount of data. Kunal said that I have like suppose I have 10 files and I will take care of updating those files daily on day-to-day manner. And we can schedule some pipeline which can take the data at 10 p.m. after I update it after my office hours, and then you guys can use it, right? This is the use case which Kunal has given. So now Kunal here data factory needs to connect with two kinds of source. What are those source? One is this, which is MySQL, and second is this, which is Abhishek's data lake, right? Now this is basically cloud storage. This is a cloud storage, right? This is a cloud storage, and this is on premise, right? This is on premise. On premise means like not in the cloud. On premise means not in the cloud. So to the people who are not aware about what is on premise, not in the cloud, simple. Now data factory needs to connect with two kinds of source, right? One is cloud, one is non-cloud, right? So for cloud, which integration runtime we will use? We will use a Azure default integration runtime. So here data factory needs to make two connection, right? Simple. So data factory needs to connect with the destination, which is sync, and data factory also needs to connect it with the source, right? So there are two kinds of integration runtime required ideally. For source, self-hosted integration runtime, and for sync, which is destination, which is cloud storage, Azure default integration runtime, because we have learned Azure has three kinds of integration runtime: self-hosted integration runtime, default integration runtime, and SSIS. So SSIS, you can just remember it from the definition wise, it's okay. And then here we will use Azure self-hosted or a self-hosted integration runtime. All right. Now for Azure default integration runtime, it's already given for you, right? So you don't need to do anything here. You are aware that this is the integration runtime which I will use, which is here with me already. But for self-hosted integration runtime, you need to configure it. So how to configure it? Let's understand that now. So this particular integration runtime will be installed in the computer from which you want to fetch the data, right? Or in the computer or in the server. So suppose I will tell Kunal, hey Kunal, please install a software in your computer so that I can fetch the data from your computer, right? So what Kunal will do, Kunal will needs to install a software. So suppose if you are moving the data from any of the server, right? If you are moving the data from any of the server, this particular integration runtime needs to be installed in that particular server from where you want to fetch the data. So, and how to install? So here you will go to the integration runtime, you will click on self-hosted integration runtime, you will click continue. You will click on self-hosted integration runtime, you will click continue. Here you will write suppose Kunal IR or whatever server it's Kunal IR. I'm writing just Kunal just for the easy reference. And then create. And then this is the key, right? I can just like uh, download and set up integration runtime. So this particular download and then click over here and then download, right? So this, all of this Kunal needs to do. I don't need to do anything. Kunal needs to do. So if Kunal, you have like a good internet connection and then you can download this 1.1 GB of data, you probably can do it now and we can test it during the class itself, no problem. So you can download this, right? So I will give this to Kunal now. Okay. And if Kunal can do it, it's fine. If not, then also it's fine, right? No problem. So now this particular integration runtime needs to be installed in the server from where you want to fetch the data, right? So now whosoever has a good internet connection, installed Data Factory already, can do it now itself. We can test it. So now this particular integration runtime will be downloaded in that particular server, right? Once it's downloaded, right? So once it's downloaded in that server, once it's downloaded, so this particular integration runtime needs to be downloaded in that server. Okay, in that server we will install this integration runtime. Which is integration runtime? The self-hosted integration runtime.
So Abhishek, if already installed integration runtime, it will not work.
No, you need to uninstall it.
I need to uninstall it.
Yeah. So yeah, so it's okay, no problem if you cannot install it. So this particular self-hosted integration runtime needs to be installed in that particular server. Now, once we install this integration runtime, right? I will show you the document. Integration runtime. Yeah. So what we are doing, we are installing an integration runtime in a corporate firewall, right? So suppose this is Kunal corporate firewall. We are installing integration runtime in his computer. And then all of this we have done, this we have done. Then there are two key, right? And then once we run this installer, right? Once we run this installer, this kind of window will come. And then this particular key you need to copy and paste it in that installer so that, yeah, so once you register it, you will see this integration runtime running. This will be running, right? So here you're not able to see it running, but here once you register it, right, using the key, this particular integration runtime will be running. Now, Data Factory made the connection with Kunal's computer once you do all of this, right? So Data Factory will be able to connect with Kunal's computer. Now Kunal will again say, Abhishek, I have set up this very strong password of my SQL server because I have very good data and I don't want to, like, suppose how you can just install integration runtime and get the data from my SQL server, right? So suppose over here, as I told, Kunal has a MySQL server, right? Let me make it, okay, yeah. So we installed self-hosted integration runtime in this particular computer. Now Data Factory is able to communicate with self-hosted integration runtime because we made the connection, right? You made the connection. So Data Factory is able to communicate with self-hosted integration runtime because we made the connection. All right. But Data Factory will say again that, hey, I want to move the data from MySQL to cloud storage. So Data Factory will first communicate with self-hosted integration runtime. Hey, yeah, so you are able to communicate, right? Now Data Factory will tell self-hosted integration runtime, hey, self-hosted integration runtime, can you pull the data from MySQL? So self-hosted integration runtime will go to MySQL and ask for data, but self-hosted integration runtime can still not get the data. Why? Because it is protected by a password, right? So self-hosted integration runtime is still not able to communicate with Kunal's MySQL server, right? Because Kunal has a ID and password set up and we don't know about ID and password, right? So for that, Kunal, I will seek a help. I will ask Kunal for a help, right? So what I will do now, then it comes the picture of link service. Then here we'll create a link service. I will type SQL Server. You need to choose the kind of a source which you're connecting, right? Either SQL Server, Oracle DB, SAP, HANA, whatever server you're connecting, you need to select that here. Select, suppose I am connecting with SQL Server, I select SQL Server. Then I will select the integration runtime which I have installed, Kunal's integration runtime. Then I will ask a server name from Kunal. I will ask a data name which he has made. I will ask for authentication type. Is it a Windows authentication or a SQL authentication? I will ask for authentication type. Then I will ask a username from Kunal. Then I will ask a password from Kunal, or I need to go on a call with Kunal, and probably I will enter all of these details, right? So that I can make a connection, right? Because Kunal, it's a Kunal server, right? So Kunal needs to give all of this information to me so that I can add all of this information and I can test connection. And once I test connection, then this particular connection will be able to after that it will be able to communicate with the the source, right? So then the self-hosted integration runtime will be able to connect with this. Once this connection is established, once this connection is established, through link service this will happen. Through link service this will happen, right? Through link service it will happen. This one. Okay. And once you do that, then Data Factory will be able to communicate with Kunal's MySQL server. Similarly, here you have a default integration runtime. Now you need to only use a link service for this, right? So here you need to go, and then suppose you want to connect with data lake, for example, right? So here you need to go for data lake storage. You need to select data lake storage, then auto resolve integration runtime is already there. Then you need to select your storage account. Suppose this is my storage account. Then I will test connection. And it's very, very important to test connection always whenever you are making a link service. Why? Because sometimes you make a connection and your connection is not working. So it's very important to test your connection first, right? Then create it. And so suppose similarly for the SQL server, so this is a cloud SQL server, that is why auto resolve is there. But you need to add your server name, database name, your SQL authentication ID and password, and then you can test connection. Its connection failed because I don't have this server right now with me, but yeah, this is how you can do it. So this is about link service and integration runtime. How many types of integration runtimes are there? There are three types of integration runtime: Azure default integration runtime, self-hosted integration runtime, and SSI. Yes, self-hosted integration runtime is being used to connect with any of the server which is there not in the cloud, which is on premise. Azure default integration runtime is being used to connect with any of the service which is there in the cloud. SSIS integration runtime is being used to import SSIS packages. Now, what's the difference between a link service and integration runtime? The difference between integration runtime and a link service is integration runtime helps to connect data factory with a particular server. Link service help to authenticate that particular database which from which you want to fetch the data, right? So because in a server there can be multiple databases. So Kunal can have MySQL server, MS SQL server, and his own computer, and Kunal has many data sources, right? So ideally, for a particular data source, you need to configure a particular link service. But for a server, you ideally have one integration runtime. Now I am done. If you have any question, you can ask me now.
Yeah, one question, Abhishek. So let's say my SQL server is installed on a virtual machine inside the Azure.
Mhm.
Okay, so then which do I need to install self-hosted integration runtime or auto resolve self-integration runtime will work? Because in my company, they have SQL server installed on a virtual machine on Azure.
SQL Server installed in a virtual machine in Azure. All right. So in that case, And that particular virtual machine is there in the cloud, right?
Yeah.
And so what kind of a source is installed? You have installed there?
MS SQL Server there, right? Installed
Hmm.
in a Windows virtual machine.
And okay, and that is basically a cloud so the database
Yes.
from which you want to fetch the data is a cloud database, right?
Not the cloud database, but it's inside a virtual machine, a normal installation of SQL Server. Instead of like we have a managed SQL Server or something, right? It's on inside a VM. They installed a normal MS SQL Server for all
Mhm.
these. So what they done, they lift and shifted all the on-premise to the virtual machines.
Mhm.
No, no, you are accessing through the virtual machine, right? The database.
Yes, yes. That can be accessible from
They are
local
giving access
in a
to your
management
virtual
studio.
machine, not you are using the virtual machine database.
No
Like
problem. You can tell later because this is something you can tell in next class because this is
So
something
you will use a self-host integration runtime in that case. From my
self-hosted.
understanding, you will install a self-host integration runtime in that particular virtual machine.
I was thinking
And
same, but not sure. I'm not sure.
I think so, 80%, but yeah, so it's like I'm not very sure because I haven't done it in the past, but 80% from conceptually, if I think, then it should be a self-host integration runtime. You can double check that, but you need to install a self-host integration runtime in your virtual machine, and then you need to give the credentials of your SQL Server and configure the self-host integration runtime. This is how I feel it should be done, because virtual machine is again a private network in which you have installed conceptually, if I'm thinking. But
Yeah.
yeah, so you can double check it, read about it, ideally.
Okay.
All right, guys. Anybody has any other question?
Abhishek, I actually have MySQL installed, and can we try? I mean, I have downloaded the file and installed it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can try
Integration
that.
runtime. Yeah. So should I share my
And
screen?
you can share the screen, but one second.
Uh-huh.
You just install it, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, let me give you the key so that you can configure it. One second.
Sure.
Yeah, please configure this. Run the installer
Yeah.
and then paste this key over there.
Yes.
Yeah, share your screen.
Yeah. Let me know once it is visible. Yeah.
Yes.
Is it visible? Yeah. I have
Yeah.
pasted the key, registered the same, and now I'm getting this. So
Click
should I give
next.
remote
Click
access? Yeah.
next. Yeah, finish.
Okay. Uh, certificate.
Go back once.
Actually, I only cancel and finish.
Can you enable that once? Okay,
Enable
So
the
this
remote
code,
access
one second, it's
without.
registering. 1 second, it's registering.
no, so after this window came.
So, but it's still registering, right, over there.
I think once we click something here, I mean finish or cancel, then it will do.
Here also I can see it. 1 second, let me check if it is running, because here Once it's running,
Uh,
I will be able to see it.
okay.
It is not registered yet. So let's let it run, which you're running right now.
Uh, but I think this needs to be addressed for that. So this port
Can you
number,
click on, can you cut that? 1 second.
okay.
Yeah. And click on again register.
Yeah,
Okay. Do you know your MySQL database name, ID, and password,
yes,
all
and
those? Okay.
yes,
Yeah, okay. Then it's registered, right? 1 second.
yeah,
Yeah, now I am able to see. 1 second. Can you unshare your screen, please?
sure, yeah,
Okay, guys. So once Devendra has registered, you will be able to see like this, as I told, right? This is ideally Devendra. Kunal is Devendra. You can consider this. So this is Devendra IR now. This is running, right? So once a particular integration runtime is registered, this will be running, right? So you can see that running. Now I will go here. Now I will make a connection to MySQL server. Now I have made the connection to Devendra computer now, right? So I can pull the data from Devendra's computer if I have a valid credentials. So suppose ideally I have made a connection to a server, right? But suppose
mhm,
Devendra has many data point like in the C drive or like all the C. So now suppose Devendra want to be extra cautious. Devendra ask me, Abhishek, now you have access to my computer. Can you pull all the information from your computer, from my computer? Ideally, no, I cannot do anything. Why? Because I don't have a access to his details of C drive or his password. He haven't given me any password yet, right? So I cannot do anything. So here I will create a link service now for my SQL server. And now I will select this Kunal Iyer, which is a Devendra Iyer now. You need to give me your like a server name, database name, username and password now.
yes, yes. So
Or
actually,
or
this is local host, I mean, for my connection.
yeah, so
So,
now or if you want, can you
mhm,
request access of my screen?
sure. No, I mean, I can give, there is no issue. I'll just
Okay.
bring it here.
This is IP.
Yeah, and I will also give you the database name.
Yeah. So I have made the connection. Now connection successful, right? You guys are able to see it, right?
Right.
Now I can create a connection, right? Now suppose Devin said, hey Abhishek, you made a connection, show me to pull some data from me, right? So what I will do, I will pull some data from Devin's computer now. Let's do that. So here I will go and then I will go to the data factory. I will teach you all of this, right? So you don't need to worry about it. Hey Abhishek, where you clicked, how you are pulling this copy data, why you are pulling this copy data, all of that we'll learn, right? So don't worry about it. But right now, I just want to show you so that you understand. MySQL server.
Abhi, Abhishek,
Yeah.
Madan here, Abhishek. That password activity will be there, right? That password will be getting expired for certain period, right? How that activity will be taken care of, Abhishek?
The password which is given by Devendra.
Yeah, that will be
Yeah.
expiring, right?
Yeah. So
After
the
that,
password, if the password is expired, generally we create a key vault for that, and we store.
okay,
We don't store the password here. 1 second, let me show you.
yeah,
So here, if I go to the, yeah, this connection we made, right? So here we can configure the key vault as your key vault, and we store the password in the key vault, and then
okay,
we use a latest password over here, so that if somebody is updating the password, then automatically in the key vault it will be updated.
okay. Because in our company, right, in our project, right, that they will be having some 3 months policy
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
some update will be happening. Every job will
Yeah.
be kept on hold and password will be updated. For that only
Yeah.
asked.
Yeah. So generally, what I am doing right now is not a best practice, and why I am doing it, because I don't want to teach you key vault right now. Okay. But I will teach going forward. After 6, 7 class, I will teach key vault, and then you'll understand it how it will be done. Okay.
Okay, okay. That what will they'll be doing, right? Every 3 months there will be a password
Yeah.
update thing will be happening.
So
That's
yes. So here you will
BDM
use a
perspective.
key vault. Here you will use a key vault, and then you can fetch the latest password. Guys, please mute yourself if you're not asking question. Some background noise is coming from somewhere.
Yeah, it's from my end. Crackers are
Okay.
going. That's it.
Okay, fine, no problem.
Yeah.
All right. So now I will go here. Now I will select this. I will select. So I will make a new data set. What is this data set? I will tell you. No, don't worry about it. So I am selecting a SQL server. So basically, I'm configuring source because I need to pull the data from source, which is MySQL of Devendra computer. Okay. And then I will select a link service. Then I can see the table name. If Devendra has any table in his database, I will be able to see it here. Yeah, so here Devendra has all of these tables, right? So I can select one of the table, which is sales, for example, and I can ideally preview the data. So now this is the data which Devendra had, right? So now I can pull the data and copy the data to my data lake. That I can do.
Abhishek, one more question, Abhishek.
Mhm.
Mostly we won't be fetching the table directly. We'll be hitting the views only. Is it possible
No.
here also? From my end, right?
Uh,
From my company, we will be using views only.
so you can get the reviews as well. Here you will be able to see the views as well.
So what they will be doing, right? You should not hit the tables. There is a view that only we need to use. That is
Yeah,
also
so
possible here, right?
yes, you will be able to see views and also tables here. Both you will be able to see. So when you're selecting here, table is written, but ideally you will be able to see both views and tables both here. And you can select that view which you want to move.
Okay, okay, Abhishek. Thanks.
All right, guys. Now, anybody has any doubt, guys? Now you can configure sync. So ideally, now let's try to move this data. I will configure sync, which is data lake. So data lake gen2, suppose, and then CSV file. Why I'm doing all of this, I will teach, guys. Don't worry about it. Okay, I'm just telling you now so that we can see something. Input. Now in the input, suppose I am moving the data with Dev, and then suppose sales dot CSV. First row as the header, import schema as none. Why first row as the import schema as none? We'll speak about it. Don't worry about it. So now I will select, go here, select a data which is suppose a sales data, and then debug. Successful. Now I will go here, I will open this, I will open this, I will open this, open this, go to input container, go to Dev, go to Dev. and then go to sales.dv, go to edit, and this is the data which I copied from Devendra computer using my data factory to my data lake. All right, guys. Now any doubt anybody has, guys?
Is it possible to view the data? Any data viewer will be there in that?
Here you are able to see the data. Sorry, what you want?
No, what we will be doing, right? Whenever we import any source, right? In there we will be seeing the data. That's what I'm asking.
This is the data.
Okay, okay.
This is the data, right? But now if you want to view it properly, then you have a storage explorer, which is a tool to ideally see the data which is present in storage account. That also can be used.
Thanks. Okay.
Okay.
So I am not able to see the edit tab here, Abhishek, for my this lake.
You're not able to see the edit tab. I don't know why you're not able to see it. So here you can just download and see if you're not able to see it. Download and see this.
Okay. Maybe I clicked on storage explorer and that's the
Click
reason.
on edit over here. Like this.
Okay, let me try.
And I suggest you guys to download Storage Explorer. What is Storage Explorer? Storage Explorer is a tool to access storage account, which gives you multiple option and also it's user friendly. So you can download the Storage Explorer as well. What is Storage Explorer? It's not any other. It's just a way to access storage account. Just like suppose if you have movies in your computer, you have a Windows media player and then you have a VLC media player as well, right? So similarly, you have different tools through which you can access the storage account given by Microsoft that you can also use. Anybody has any doubt, guys? If not, then I will ask questions.
So this way we can only access the source data, right? We cannot modify or update anything there.
No, you cannot do anything in the source.
Okay.
You can do it. So suppose what I can do ideally, I cannot directly like I can ideally modify the data. So suppose what I can do in your table, I can insert the data now. So suppose I can revert because particularly in MySQL, I cannot do it because MySQL sync is not possible, which I will tell
Correct.
why it is not possible. But suppose I can choose source as data lake and I can reinsert the data in your data lake. So I can effect your data ideally that I can do. And I can also run a SQL query which is present in your database. That also I can do.
So MySQL insert is not possible, and
I will come to it that it's like planned. So I will come and talk about it in a more detail and a better way. So please give me some time. So if you guys have any doubt related to integration, runtime and link service, you can ask me now. Let's not go into sync and source, what sync is possible, what source is possible, and copy and change the data. All of that is already planned in coming lectures. But I really want you guys to clearly understand this because this is very, very important. So let's focus on this right now. Is any doubt anybody has related to this? Otherwise, I will ask questions related to this only.
so what is better word for as your default integration runtime or auto resolve?
Anything is better, anything is good. But don't say cloud integration runtime, don't say some integration runtime given by Azure, but both are okay, both are good. All right.
If
If there's no
source
question.
is a flat file, means how to import it, Abhishek?
For flat files, you have this integration runtime, which is file system integration runtime. So suppose Kunal or Devendra has a C drive system from where we want to move the data, this integration runtime you can use.
So that file is different setup file. for
File
this.
system integration runtime. So here you can configure for C drive and those things you can do here.
No, but that the file will be same, right? Integration
Yeah.
runtime file. So let's say my
Yes.
files are on premise,
Mm-hmm.
then I can use the same integration runtime, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
All right.
So what exactly this file that we downloaded it contains? I mean, logically, I want to ask.
What it contains? It's a software which has been installed in your computer, which helps Data Factory to connect with that integration runtime which has been installed.
So it is only for connection purpose.
Yes, it's only for connection purpose, and it's also helping you to pull the data from your server, from the database.
So
So
Abhishek,
source needs to be online, offline. I mean, once the connection is established, there
Online.
is
Online.
okay.
If you close your laptop right now, if it
Uh-huh.
doesn't have internet connection, I cannot do anything.
Oh, okay, understood. Of
Abhishek,
course,
let's say
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
using pay as you go,
Uh-huh.
and my integration runtime is always on, and so will it, and pipeline is not running, will it charge or
Yes, it will charge.
okay? So we need to switch off the how to switch off for that one or disable
Uh, you can
temporarily.
dislocate, like I need to just search it. You can search it like dislocate that integration runtime probably if it is running in your virtual machine. So suppose if in your case, if it is running in a virtual machine, your integration runtime is running in the virtual machine. You can disconfigure it or dislocate it. That you can do. But suppose if it is running in Devendra computer and data factory connection is just established, that will be not much more chargeable. But if it is running in the cloud virtual machine, then it can be chargeable.
Okay, okay.
All right.
Abhishek, if you are using fixed with the file format, right? Is there anything special thing needs to be done? I'm asking. Source as a
Uh,
fixed
Fixed
because in
file for
IACS we'll be using differently. That's what I'm asking. We'll be having two format thing. Fixed with the length needs to be specified differently, and the file will be in different way. That's what I'm asking.
I haven't understood your question, sorry. So you are saying that you want to move the data flat files, right? That you want to move.
Flat files will be two types, right? One with fixed width and one with the delimiter, right? If it is a fixed
Yeah,
width means
so
how
you
to
are again we are again going into forward direction, like how to move a
yeah, okay.
particular file type format. So please let's stay over here. Those things we'll talk about it. Okay, don't worry about it. Okay.
Okay, Kavish.
All right, guys. So I will answer a question now, and related to this, what we have learned. Uh, Prathaman, how should I pronounce your name, Prathaman? Is it a right pronunciation of your name? Prathanman. Is it a right pronunciation of your name? Sorry. Are you able to hear me? Okay, 1 second. All right, so let's take same example, Kunal example or like Devendra example or Pawan example. Okay. Now suppose I have three data factory or like, yeah, so one I have Pawan, one is Kunal, one is, now I have like SAP TCS. So I will take one standard example of TCS, for example, TCS server. So TCS has a server. And then I will take example of Pawan. And I will take example of Rashmi, for example, right? Rashmi. All right. So I have three people, three servers, right? Now Kunal said that, hey Abhishek, you taken like the example of moving the data from my computer. Now I will create my own data factory. So Kunal created his own data factory, Kunal's data factory, as your data factory of Kunal. Kunal. Okay, this is data factory of Kunal. Now Kunal said that, hey, I want to still Abhishek use your data lake, right? So I want to use your data lake. I don't want to move data in my own data lake. So Abhishek's data lake. All right. So Kunal data factory, Abhishek data lake. Now in Pawan, we have the data in C drive and in Rashmi as well. Suppose Rashmi has like MS SQL server, MS SQL server, and also Rashmi has MS SQL server, and also let me make it up back. MS SQL server and MySQL server. MySQL server. Pawan wants to move the data to C drive, and also Pawan made a cloud storage which is suppose uh, S3 bucket, or like some sort of a, suppose some people who doesn't know about S3 bucket, you can consider drive. So Microsoft doesn't have a drive connection, but I'm just giving you example S3 bucket or some sort of a drive. S3 bucket. S3 bucket, but it's a cloud storage ideally. Amazon S3, right? Amazon S3. One has the data in Amazon S3 and also C drive. And TCS has SAP HANA configured. And also TCS has, suppose, yeah, only SAP HANA configured, SAP HANA on-premise. All right. Now Kunal got a task to move all the data to Abhishek data lake, right? So now the question to everyone is, how many integration runtime, how many IR, and how many link service required for this? How many IR and how many link service required for this? All right, guys. Now please be silent and don't say anything if you know the answer. Think about it. Take some 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then answer it. The question is not quite easy that just try to answer it. So please think about it, take your time. So ideally, just to reiterate, Rasmi has two server, MS SQL, MySQL on-premise. Pawan has C drive, D and a drive, S3 bucket, which is a cloud, and C drive, which is on-premise. TCS server, a TCS company has a server and has a SAP HANA installed in that particular server. Kunal make the data factory, and Kunal got a task to move the data in Abhishek's data lake from all of this server one by one. Now, how many integration runtime and how many link services required for this, and how do you approach for that? So please write your answers in the chat. How many IR and how many link service? Please think about it for 5 minutes and then answer in the chat.
So group chat or
Group chat.
okay.
In this group chat, in the Zoom group chat.
I mistyped typo. I am changing my.
All right, no problem.
It will be one integration service to link. The linking will be 3.
Yeah,
I
type
pinged
in the
it.
chat. Whatever answers you have, please type in the chat.
I pinged in the chat.
Rashmi, can you describe why you're saying 2IR?
Because one is for Rashmi
Mhm.
and another two for C drive. Yeah, another two for. I mean, I'm just giving not number. It is like two types of.
No, no, no. Give number,
Oh,
not
then it
types.
will be
Give number.
okay. Okay, then it will be 3IR.
Okay, so if somebody has given 2IR because of self-hosted and default,
Yeah.
the answer will be always 2 in that case, right? So give the not like the numbers, the types, give the number of IR required, okay?
Okay. Okay. Sorry.
Three IR, 3 link service. Pawan, can you please describe why 3IR, 3 link service? Pawan? Let me see who has written the right answer. 3IR, 3 link service is wrong. 4IR, 5 link service. 4IR, 2, 2, 4, 5, 6. 4IR, 5 link service is also wrong. 2IR, 3 link service is also wrong. 4IR, 2, 2, 4, 5. 5 link service is also wrong. 1IR, 3 link service is also wrong. All the answer is wrong, guys. And Kunal first said 8 link service. All the answers are wrong, guys. All right, I will not tell the answer. Think about it, and we'll discuss in the next class. Okay. And I will paste this screenshot in the group chat, in the WhatsApp group chat. Then we will discuss about it on Monday, and you can also type the answers in the group chat as well. No problem. So the homework for you guys, for everyone, is make a install the self-hosted integration runtime in your computer. Install self-hosted integration runtime in computer and make link service for MySQL and MS SQL, right? and then make link service for data lake. And I will paste this screenshot in the group chat, find out the answer for this. We'll discuss it on Monday. Thank you so much for joining the call, guys. See you then on Monday. Please practice this. This is a very, very important class. So please practice this during the weekend. Thank you so much. Bye.
Sure,
Abhishek,
Abhishek.
Hmm? Yeah.
yeah,
Yes. Yes.
actually, I have the other question. Like, I applied for
Yeah. Yeah.
Azure
Please.
Data Engineer role, and I
One
got some.
second. So you
Yeah,
have question related to what?
it was regarding my resume work.
Okay, fine. So let me stop the recording and then you can ask
Yeah,
question.
okay, sure.